I'm excited for this match from the standpoint of, China, they have a chance to really just take control of this group.
Yeah, for China, this is a case where it's not necessarily a must-win situation, but it would be so good for them if they came out of this with a win. It would really solidify their standings and make an easier road for them going into BlizzCon weekend.
And I do feel like it's a matchup where, China comes in, they know they're the favorite. Singapore, they struggled yesterday, where they can't be too light on Singapore. They can't let Singapore come in, maybe take, an early first one on King's Row and put a lot of pressure on China. They need to take care of business here early, and those are the 3 maps you'll see in this series. It'll be King's Row to kick things off, Hanamura as the second map, and Lijiang Tower if we do go to a 3rd game.
And that is your map pool. We are going to be opening up on King's Row. To many people, sort of the quintessential Overwatch map. We used to see it a lot in competition, something that people are very comfortable playing on.
Yeah, now we did see Singapore stick with Pharah yesterday on this map, so I'm looking to see if they do change it up, because it was not working at all yesterday. They weren't getting anything of that Far Mercy combination, but you do have Kolbat, who his main hero is Pharah, so expect Singapore potentially to stick with that going into this one.
I think it's pretty likely that they would open with it, but I do think they need to be prepared to swap things up. Now, Jam Lee, he is a pretty good hit scan player, so he's not going to be giving Kolbat free reign of the skies if he does go down that Pharah route, but right now, this is interesting. We're seeing Kolbat swap things up, probably just waiting here to the last moment to actually switch things up. That's the thing in Overwatch, where sometimes teams on the attack, they sort of mess around a little bit up until 10 seconds when the gates open.
Oh yeah, on the defensive end though, we can talk a little bit about their composition. YJP is going to be playing Mei, and I actually find Mei to be extremely effective on this map. We saw a little bit, before obviously Mei gets a buff, that she was used on this map quite often because, the chokes are very short, they're very narrow, you're able to ice wall off, and what in the world is Singapore
follow the leader
doing here? All right.
Why not?
Yeah,
Symmetra
they're
leading the way.
Following Symmetra here. Maybe they're kind of possessed by Symmetra at this point. You see Kolbat playing the Bastion, just kind of hanging out in the spawn. This will not be Singapore's composition. They will probably change over to something else. Kolbat switches over to Junkrat. I don't even know if that may be his last lock-in, but if it is, well, it seems like it will be. They're going to go with an offensive Junkrat. What do you think about that, ZP?
I think it's not unprecedented. We have seen teams run Junkrat here on King's Row in the past. People don't run it quite as often lately because they're afraid of building up on an ult, but it can be very effective at clearing people off this point and creating an opening for a team as they go in on the attack.
Yeah, in Singapore, as soon as they see the Mei on the China side, they go right up into that top hotel, jump right over the balcony, do not want to get walled off from their teammates, and Kolbat just putting down a lot of damage here as Junkrat launches the enemy Reinhardt into the sky. Pangu goes for a ride, but he actually backs up towards his teammates, able to stay alive for the time being, but it's been a good push here early by Singapore.
Singapore is pushing China back right now. China's been losing this poke war in no small part due to the harassment of Kolbat here, but it's going to be Pangu going right back, gets the double kill, and here comes China. Nano boost on the way. That's going to be a quad kill for Pangu.
And a very good push back there from China. It looked like Singapore was backing them into a corner, and China answers back with a big offensive push from the defensive side of things as Pangu gets nano boosted, takes out 3 players. Now, Megmount has that Graviton Surge here to use in this next fight. On the side of Singapore, though, you will have the Junkrat Tire, you'll have the nano boost, and an Earth Shatter. So look to see Singapore take advantage here.
And Junkrat Tire, it's somewhat of a zoning tool, somewhat of a gamble. Sometimes you do get an early pickoff, sometimes it just buys you a little bit of spacing. But you see the Ice Wall coming down from the Mei right now. Doesn't quite split things off, but still acts as impediment to Singapore. Singapore will be going up to the alley, trying to go in from the top, and this is good positioning from them as they open up here at the Deadeye.
Yeah, Reborn's just trying to target some players here. Has a few down there, but the Reinhardt shield's going to block it. You're going to see Dowda jump in as the nano-boosted Reinhardt, but here comes the Blizzard from China. It's going to be YJP dropping that down in the point. He's able to take out 2. And now Singapore's EP, they've used all these ultimates, but it looks like China's pushing them back.
China's pushing them back, but remember where the respawns are here for the offense. Singapore is in a great position here. They can just get a few more pickoffs. They should be able to cap this point because their reinforcements get in much sooner than China's reinforcements. And even though Mengmao is holding on to that Graviton Surge, he's just not going to have to fall through as he gets melted right down by Revenant.
Yeah, and I like the idea there. Obviously don't want to use that Graviton Surge there, so Mengmao, he drops, and then you see Lincoln, he falls back. They're going to have that Graviton for this next fight. So Singapore showing some signs of life here. They get control of the point. Now they will be moving the payload.
They are moving the payload, and Kolbat not clutching on the Pharah. This is actually one of the best areas in the game to run a Pharah, but Kolbat, not wanting to repeat the mistakes of yesterday, is not going only Fairies, going the Reaper, and also a very good area for Reaper. And now we'll just have to see, can China fueled by Mengmao, get the Graviton Surge and stop Singapore here on this next push. They're in a great position to do this.
Well, yesterday when Singapore struggled, it was obviously when they stuck with that Pharah Mercy combination. When we actually saw Kolbat switch over, they started to show some good things. And you see right there, it's going to be both Graviton Surges coming out. It's going to be 2 kills for China. It's going to be Gemly picking up 1. And now you see Lincoln has that sound barrier. Does he decide to use it? Don't think they need to. They're going to wipe the floor with the rest of the players from Singapore. Good speed boost here, just trying to get in, take out some of the players just left. So it's a good hold there from China, and now they're starting to build up some ultimates.
That was a great bridge for China where, because they were able to get the team wipe off the Graviton, it gave more time for Jamli, Pangu, and Link to get their ultimates up now. So they're going to be able to engage here with the sound barrier and go right into Singapore. They have no support ult to counter, so expect China to take the initiative.
Oh, and it's a big Ursha there from Pangu. You're going to see the Blizzard come in as well from YJP. Everyone from Singapore is falling. Great use of the ultimate abilities there for China. So they get a team wipe there, and now they'll be able to reset.
And I'll note the ult economy coming out of China here, where many teams would have used the sound barrier just to secure it. They held on to it, so they're going to have nano boost, sound barrier. And what you can expect here is that they might put the nano boost onto the Reinhardt with the sound barrier and make him nearly unkillable as he rolls into the Singapore team. And Singapore, they don't necessarily have the best options to deal with it. Here we go.
Yeah, and you're going to see actually the Reinhardt of China get nano boosted. Now you're going to see Reborn's trying to line up a big Deadeye here. He has 2 players in his sight. It's going to burn down that Reinhardt shield. It's going to be kills traded out though. Call that fly through. Nano boosted Reaper with a Death Blossom. And now you see Singapore taking advantage, pushing up the map, wiping the rest of these players on China. A good push there from Singapore. They still have a Graviton Surge left. They're going to take Lincoln out here later in the fight. They're going to have to wait for him to get back. So really good there for Singapore.
And that's a mistake that teams make pretty often, where I think China would have been fine if they waited for Singapore to go in a little bit more. China instead took the fight right at the archway. They didn't have great positioning. They lost a few seconds off the sound barrier. And as a result, it gave the opportunity for the counter ultimate charge to come in, call back, clean them up. And here we go. Next fight underway. Singapore trying to maintain momentum here. Revenant, Graviton comes in.
Yeah, and you see Callback just lurking up top. He wanted to drop down, but that Blizzard is not going to allow him to do so. He's going to get frozen up top. He's just trying to stay alive there. You see going Wraith for him, but the fight going down on the payload, just pushing back down in here, and it's going to be Mengmao coming through as Zarya charged up, taking out 2 Kolbat, just trying to get away. Oh, not the spot you want to teleport into as they quickly deal with him. So China comes back, gets a good push, gets a wipe of Singapore's EP, and now China has some ultimates and only a minute to go for Singapore to work with. Down it's going to have to go huge there with that Earthshatter.
And for Singapore, really, this is going to be their last good team fight. Earthshatter is going to have to be a big deal here. China, though, their ultimate war chest is very full. Mengmao is going to be opening up this is Graviton, and here comes the nano boost coming right in. Earthshatter gets countered here, though, and giving Singapore a little bit of extra life, but not enough.
Yeah, now Callback, he switches over to Pharah. We saw him on this all day yesterday, but his teammates are just falling. Now you see the Graviton come in, just trying to find out which players he should target first. And you see, he's just trying to figure out, there's so many targets he wants to prioritize. Right there, he ends up just really not doing much of anything. And I would have liked to see him stay on the heroes that he was playing on earlier in the game when he was playing that Reaper. Now he switches over, running the Pharah. I would have liked to see him stick because it was working for Singapore.
Yeah, the Pharah, I think, actually could have been good here, but here comes China on a very aggressive defense. They still hold on to the sound barrier. They take down 1, and they are all in here, X, looking to finish out Singapore right here, right now, stopping them from getting to the payload. There will be no overtime. China taking map number 1.
Yeah, it's a good first hold there from China in the first half here on King's Row. You really saw some nice things out of a lot of the guys on China, especially the YJP on May goes 21-2. Very good performance from him. And you saw some good things from Callback. Goes back to his trusted Pharah there at the end, has a tough time just targeting some players. Nope, maybe we'll see him switch off and go something different here in the second half. A defensive Pharah, we did see it from Singapore yesterday. It did not work. I'd like to see them go to something different.
Here's the thing about Pharah is that I have no problems if you're going to open the game with Pharah, whether it be on defense or offense. The key, though, is that if the other team is coming in with a composition that's doing really well against it, you have to be prepared to switch. Other than that, run the Pharah. See if the other team has weaknesses. We've seen elements in the pro scene where a team will run Pharah and the other team will either not switch at all or switch really late, so you can catch teams off guard. Let's take a look at YJJPP stats here.
Yeah, YJP was sick here on May, and you saw there at the end, just blocked off the players from Singapore. They were not able to get back towards the payload, and Yep, the accuracy, 36%, that's not bad for Mei, especially if you're just using those rank clicks, those icicles, and best kill streak 8, so a pretty good first half there from YJP. It'll be interesting to see who he runs on the offensive side of things. And now with Singapore on the defensive end, you will see Callback go back to Reaper, so I do like that change, and you'll see Revenant going with Mei, so copying a lot of what we saw China do on the defensive end.
Indeed, and one thing that's worth noting about YJP there as well is that he only died 2 times. One of the great things about Mei is that if you don't have someone running something with really big burst damage, like a McCree, like a Hanzo, Mei can be incredibly difficult to remove from an area, which really bolsters your defense even more.
I tell you what, though, ZP, China looks like they're going to have their comp, and they're going to be running this Pharah on the side of Singapore. I mean, they're going to have nothing really to deal with that, so look for YJP to really take advantage here early.
The only thing about YJP in the setup here is that he's not going to have a Mercy right behind him. Pharah's definitely a little bit weaker without Mercy being the buddy. But still, he will be able to get healed by Ana, and it's not the worst case scenario, so we'll see if it catches Singapore off guard.
Oh, and he's going to come in right over the top. Probably not the angle he intended to take there as he ran out of boost as he's coming up, but you see just the pressure that YJP is putting on the back line here, and 2 big kills coming in from China early. I think YJP is just Singapore for a loop here as they are all falling, and you could not have asked for a better start for China as they get a team kill.
Those were 3 big kills for YJP, 2 of them on supports. You cannot have a better Pharah opening, and now the momentum is going to continue going forward. This Pharah almost has Barrage up here for the next fight. Won't be able to combo it too much, but you look at the side of Singapore, they don't have too much to deal with it. Now, they are going to 76 to add a little bit of extra pressure against the Pharah, but if YJP chooses to spot correctly here, he could rain justice all over the squad.
Well, I mean, having the soldier is great, and you'll be able to just shoot YJP from afar, but I feel like he's just putting so much damage down that the guys on Singapore just can't really poke out and even take, you know, those shots at Pharah because they're just getting so much damage rained down on them. And here comes the push in from China. YJP with 3 with the rocket barrage, and China going in for the kill here.
That nano-boosted Pharah doing all sorts of work. It's a triple kill, and YJP not done yet. Laying in the rockets on the Lucio, pushing him back, and China with almost unstoppable momentum right now. And here's the instant replay, in over the top, raining it down. It's YJP leading the way.
Yeah, that nano-boosted Pharah with the rocket barrage just causing so many problems. 3 kills there for YJP, as it looks like China getting dangerously close to ending this, and they do. It's going to be China taking map number 1 here over Singapore.
And there's not too much to say other than that was a dominant performance coming out of China. They also showed a good degree of versatility there, where not every team actually is going to be able to run a Pharah like that, but YJP's Pharah, definitely pretty good showing.
Yeah, and you actually saw China there in the overall Kings Row game. They outkill Singapore 127 to 40, so a dominant slaying performance there from China. But I do believe actually Jason caught up with Francis Knox to talk a little bit about their group and their matchup coming up with Thailand.
Thank you very much, Rachel. And Knox, we should start off talking about this particular topic. Coming into the entirety of this exhibition, looking at your group, who was your greatest threat?
I think it's Thailand. Like, we see them lost, you know?
Oh, so just, I'm talking about, like, before you even saw anyone play, who was your greatest threat?
Oh. Actually, we know we are the underdog, so every team could beat us, actually. I'm not confident against every team. We just try to put our best against, like, everyone. We don't think about their level, if they're better or worse than us. We just go forward, playing our best, and, like, it's the role of the underdog. I know that play well with the Rogue team, so hope we can go far.
Okay, so then you did get to see Thailand play yesterday, where they went 1-2 against China. So that, I'm assuming things have changed, and you're seeing Thailand to be a really big threat to you guys?
Yeah, in my opinion, the Thailand is the best team on the group. I was kind of surprised they lost against China. I think they have a lack of adapt. I see China switching the good role to counter the pick, and Thailand didn't react. They were stuck on some pick for too much time, and then, yeah, with the time they lost the map. But I think, like, the Chinese are more regular in terms of play. They have classic play, and the Thailand are more exotic play. So that's why I'm kind of scared. We don't know how it's gonna go against Symmetra, Torbjorn.
I know Doe is happy about
Junkrat.
that. But I guess the fact that you've played against China just in the Overwatch APAC Premier, that you've had the experience, and that's why Thailand's kind of a surprise factor, because you don't know necessarily what they're going to play.
Yeah, exactly. We like not the team, but me. I know exactly how Chinese player looking forward on the game and how they play, their game style, their pick. I know how they adapt, what pick they're taking in terms of like the map or the meta we choose for defense, the first defense. So I'm not surprised about something like cheesy, maybe like a Bastion, but I know Thailand will use the Bastion. I see them doing that a lot. So we prepare for that.
So did you prepare anything else particular? For instance, you guys changed roles recently within the team. Have you guys been working really hard on that today?
Yeah, we worked pretty hard on that. I think we're gonna switch on overall maybe today. People will be surprised.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Like, I know with crew we can adapt on some pick. I know we just tried our best in terms of team comps compared to our level for each picks. So yeah, maybe we're gonna switch again.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to the match, and good luck to you guys. For now, guys, let's head back to Rachel on the desk, though.
And I love the work Jason's done, just catching up with a lot of these players, whether it be in the player lounge over here doing some interviews, and it's great to hear, just France's overall look on their own team, and then their matchup coming up with Thailand. But we do have a match going on here currently. That is China 1-0 up against Singapore. It'll be very interesting to see Singapore here on Hanamura, what they elect to do comp-wise.
So comp-wise, if you talk about going in on the attack for Hanamura, running that fair is not a bad idea. We've seen teams use it to get in and bust things open. But again, the trouble for Singapore is that even if that works out early on, they do have to be prepared to swap, and they've definitely had some trouble flexing around and getting good results.
I do feel like that's kind of been their main problem, right? It's like they're just like the way they adapt Singapore is just not the quickest, right? I mean, they'll try something for a while, it won't work, and they'll stick with it. And then when they make an adjustment that works, I feel like it's just too late. They just run out of time.
Yeah, and they did have good moments in the last map where they did have that counter rush against China that worked out pretty well. They punished China for an overextension, but we just need to see that a little bit more consistently out of them, because right now, from what we saw in the last map, it does feel like China has a considerable edge going into Hanamura.
Hanamura, definitely a map that is pretty unforgiving. When you get caught at those gates, there's really not a great route to get through. So to be China on the defensive side of things, you'll see YJP running that Mei again. Gave so many problems for Singapore there on King's Row. Now Gemly running that McCree is very effective on it too. So China going with a comp that they know is very effective, very efficient. Now we'll see what Singapore decides to do. Colbat running Winston would be a little bit of a change, and that one would actually be one I'd like, because Winston's great on this map to initiate.
It's really weird because Colbat yesterday was really just locked in the fair no matter what, and today he's been playing a bit of everything, swapping around almost too much, where it's one thing to have a little bit of variety, but hey, we said swap a fair a bit, not never play fair again and play 5 different heroes.
Yeah, so it's going to be Singapore locking in their comp. It'll be Colbat going with Farah, and they'll have Camus going with the Mercy. So we'll see if he's able to open up any holes in the defense. Now look at Pancake. Such a sneaky spot there. He's going to have to back up. And look at this. It's going to be a fast push here from Singapore. It's going to be China rushing back towards the point. It's going to be Des, though, dropping quick. And now you see Pancake getting some help as well. It's going to be Lincoln and Co. for China coming through. So it was a good initial push from Singapore. They got over towards the point. Once they got to the point, was not able to make anything happen. And it's going to be China getting an early first wipe.
And let's talk about Jamli's target selection there, where not only did he immediately go for the Mercy, one of the highest priority targets that McCree can take out, he also went for the Genji right after. So Jamli really playing this pretty well, taking out what he needs to. And this is the instant replay. Takes down Pamu, gets onto the Genji. Just beautiful textbook McCree play coming out of Jamli.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing all the way in the back, not really touched by anyone on the side of Singapore. And we get back into the action, and it's going to be Singapore flying in fast and aggressive. You see Pengu trying to stay alive at the top. It's going to be Reborns on this Genji, able to take him out. And now you see Singapore, they've got some high ground control, and now they just have to deal with Jamli, because he's putting so much damage down here as McCree for the side of China, and it does not seem like they can get anywhere close to him. And Reborn's getting close to that Dragon Blade, and he gets it. We'll see if he brings it out. You're going to see a Res come in there with a sign of Singapore, and now you see a Graviton Surge come in, but here's, I was going to say, here's where the damage is done, and there is nothing to be done by that Dragon Blade. quickly shut down by Jamli and China.
And that was actually the worst case scenario there for Reborns, because if he had died just a millisecond earlier, he actually would have saved the ultimate. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be. And also when it came to the res came out right before the Graviton, so all the timings there for Singapore not really working out, unfortunately. And take a look at China right now. China, they are really loaded up on ults here. The war chest about to be very, very full, and Pangi going to be in a great position here to land an Earth to run in, and there it is.
And it's going to be 2 minutes left on the clock. You see a lot of kills going in the way of China as this team fight does not start out well for Singapore. That Earth Shatter comes in, just ruins everything they were trying to get done there, and Doubt is going to have to back all the way towards the spawn. And now in this next fight, ZP, you'll actually see China. They do have that Blizzard inside of Singapore. You see, I mean, you have that Primal Rage Winston, you have Colbat with his Pharah ultimate, but now that they don't have Mercy, the Pharah has not been too effective.
No, it absolutely is not, and take a look at YJP right now, going to the back, neutralizing this Winston, rage or no rage, holding on to Blizzard. Meanwhile, it's Jamli in the back, takes care of the flanker, clears the skies, and Jamli is on a roll.
Yeah, he's just absolutely crushing in this one. 15-0 to kick things off here on Hanamura. And Singapore cannot get through the gates, and even when they do, just not able to pick up the kills. Now we'll see Jamli in a perfect position here. He's been using that window to get some nice advantage. And Singapore, they do have that nano boost, but YJP actually holds on that Blizzard through the last fight, so as soon as that nano comes in from the side of Singapore, it's going to be stopped, and you hear that Blizzard comes through. Oh, he gets boosted up there a little bit too high, tries to turn, take out Reborns, gets a flashbang on and nails one shot, but it's going to be the recall there. It's going to be doubted. Picking up one, so Singapore's gotten through. Now they have the nano boost to use as well. They need to make this work, Singapore. They need to get on the point.
They absolutely have to get on the point. They have less than a minute remaining, almost less than 30 seconds. They do get a few pickoffs, so this is what they need. They're going to have some respawns coming in a moment, but they can't really lose much more than what they've lost. And China is still fighting around this point, but Colbat still in, rolling in as the tides start turning here for Singapore. China just losing player after player, and now China in a rough position. But the Earth Shatter comes in. Pangi not giving this up just yet.
Yeah, but he's taken out quick. Doubted is fully charged up as Zarya. If you're China, you just got to give up on this. Back out. It's going to be Singapore taking the first point here. Now they're going to have an opportunity to go attack in towards the dojo. Now 4 minutes to go. It's a decent amount of time, ZP. China, they hold on to their nano boost. We'll see when they decide to use that. YJP getting very close to another Blizzard. Singapore has nothing to work with right now, but getting dangerously close to having some good combinations. Look for that Graviton Surge combined with the Reborn's Pulse Bomb. When that comes up, to be a devastating combination they can throw on the point.
And they're rolling in right now, not wasting any time, trying to get some momentum, but Mengmao taking out Colbat immediately. Is a brawl here, X, but here's the problem, is that when you lose a few members on the attack side, you're not gonna have the momentum you need to actually take the point.
Yeah, but Singapore, they do get some ultimates out of that one. They don't waste anything too essential. You have Reborns with the Pulse Bomb, and you will have Doubted with that Graviton Surge. It's that combination I was talking about. And quite frankly, I mean, Colbat, look how close he is to that Death Blossom. You're gonna have the Death Blossom, you're gonna have the Pulse Bomb, and the Graviton here. You can combine any one of those to really be a good combination here to open things up for Singapore.
And that is what they're going to be looking for. China, they're actually a little bit on the lower side in their alt war chest, so this is a big opportunity for Singapore. If Doubted can land that Graviton to set up his team, it could be good times. And don't forget, Reborns is holding on to that Pulse Bomb, so the Big Bang combo, which is Graviton in the Pulse Bomb, very much in play.
You see Pangu jumping down now. He switches over to Winston, not going to have that Reinhardt for the side of China. It's going to be Mengmao opening things up, though. Taking out Pangu there. That's a big kill. Mengmao with another one. You see a Graviton comes in. China doing a good job holding here, and they do actually get Singapore to burn that Graviton. And it's interesting. Singapore, they use the Graviton, and you don't see the Pulse Bomb or the Death Blossom combined with it. That's really odd for me.
I just think the coordination was a little bit lacking there. Maybe something got messed up on comms, but one thing I really want to point to is look at Mengmao. Look at how charged up he is. If you thought he had top damage on his team, he does. This has been a high damage dealing Zarya, and he's been the silent star of this map here so far for China.
Now we'll see if China can get another hold here. 2 minutes to go. The first half, Hanamura. Map number 2 of this best of 3. You see Mengmao up top. He drops a beautiful Graviton. Jamli trying to take players out with the Deadeye. Connects on a few, but not able to take anyone out. And there you see China, though, quickly cleaning up players of Singapore. Singapore, obviously, it's a fast push that gets shut down quickly. Now, you see, though, they do get some ultimates, though. They need to combine these EP. They have a good group of ultimates to combine together. They just have not been able to do it this far.
They haven't been able to do it just far, and they're going to have about 2 attempts to do it. Really, though, they have one good push left in them, and that's going to be the push where they decide to use their ult bank and try and get through here. And it's going to be probably Palm U into Colbat that's going to be their best chance of doing this. Nano boost into Death Blossom. We've seen it a lot, but it is still Singapore's best hope as they roll in. Sunbear can come in, but what a beautiful ice wall to split them apart. And here comes China once more.
Yeah, it's going to be YJP splitting them off of that ice wall, but there comes the sound barrier from the side of Singapore, but they have 2 players drop. As soon as they use it, it's going to force Colbat to back up towards Revenant, trying to stay alive, and Jamli, they take out Dast, who's split off from the team, and just uncoordinated push there from Singapore. It's another hold for China. 47 seconds left, ZP. What can Singapore do?
Singapore is in a bit of a hole here. They use Sound Barrier and Death Blossom, got nothing on it. They're really just going to have to hope for a huge Earth Shatter Pulse Bomb setup here. China, they have the Blizzard, so even if China's in trouble here, they can throw that on the point and really stagger respawn. So this is going to be difficult, but here comes Singapore, their last chance on the table.
Now you see Jamli up top with Deadeye. This is a perfect spot to take advantage of it. He's going to be able to take down Colbat. The Blizzard comes in. Remnant drops as well. Nice play there by Jamli, dropping down with the flashbang on a Reborns. 12 seconds left. That might have been enough there for China in the first half to get a win.
That is almost certainly going to be it. You cannot cause overtime when everyone is dead and this far back, but you can take a Winston on the ride just for the fun of it, but that is certainly going to be it. A good hold here coming up from China. Now, all China has to do to win the series is simply finish out the map.
Yeah, just need to get both points here on Hanamura to win for China. Very good defensive effort from them in the first half. And really Jamli there at the end with his McCree. Very effective, 25-2. The side of Singapore, you've definitely seen their play improve from yesterday, right? Yesterday we saw them struggle. Today they come in looking like a little bit of a different team, definitely improving some. It's great to see some of these teams obviously have a lot of time at the practice area, able to get some good scrims in, but man, that weapon accuracy there from Jamli, 50% on McCree, that's pretty sick.
Jamli was going off in this matchup, and you look back at what he did on point A, just really good target selection, high accuracy where it mattered, a big powerhouse here for this China team, but again for me, my personal hero there was Meng Mao. He still finished out with the most damage over it, was 29-2, and set up his team with great gravitons all throughout, so Meng Mao, that was just a heck of a showing.
Yeah, I mean, a top-late Zarya can really be game-changing, right? I mean, you saw it right there from Meng Mao. Was able to just take over the game with Jamli. And now China inching closer to starting their group up 2-0. And we saw this a little bit yesterday from Singapore. They went with a Symmetra on this map. Now you will see Callback go with Soldier. So definitely some adjustments from day to day here from the Singapore team.
We are seeing the adjustments, and we are seeing that some teams still like running Symmetra here on these points, and Symmetra is always a gamble, right? Where you are sacrificing some of your first defense power for the idea that you will be able to get the teleporter up, and your team will be able to reinforce more easily if anyone does get picked off. But it does mean that China has a really good chance of taking this on the first push, especially if they're able to capitalize on the lack of battle power coming out from Singapore.
Yeah, I feel like it's really risky for Singapore, right? I mean, there's just not a lot of damage on this team with Symmetra there. And then obviously Colbat will be able to put down a lot of shots as Soldier, but to just finish off some of those, heavy targets that China's going to have, especially Mei. I mean, Mei can take a ton of shots. YJP will be running Mei here on offense. And it looks like China just getting ready here. They're seeing if there's a Mei on the opposing side. There's not. They actually try and wall off and get into this right room. And quickly they're able to take advantage of the Singapore defensive setup. And things falling apart for Singapore here early.
This is just not a great start by Singapore, but it's an amazing start by China, able to get through, get some early kills. Singapore is fighting back right now, but the problem that they have, even as pullback picks up too, is that there's not too much in the way of burst damage on the Singapore defense, which means that it's going to be hard to finish kills, especially as China starts restreaming onto the point. And even though China's lost people X, they're going to have a respawn advantage here in just a moment.
Well, Singapore actually gets that teleporter down really fast, so you'll see they're going to get right back into the fight, but they do not have control of that gate area. They're letting China just get right up onto the point, and this does not look good from a map control standpoint here for Singapore. It's going to be a lot of pressure coming in here from China onto the point, and they are focusing Reinhardt fast. They want to drop down in. Takes a ton of damage. See Meng Mao back up. The Blizzard comes in from YJP on the point, forcing the members of Singapore off, and it's going to be 3 kills for China. They should be able to get the first point here, ZP.
They are absolutely going to be getting this first point. Lucio going to be going down towards the very end. And now China, look at all the momentum, X, that they're going to have going into point B. They're going to have the Graviton, they're going to have the Death Blossom and the Nano Boost. And Singapore, they might get a sound barrier up in time, and they will have a nano boost. But again, you take a look at who they're going to put the nano boost on. They don't have anything crazy for burst damage. They can put it on the Reinhardt, but China should have an answer to that.
Yeah, if you're Singapore, I think Reinhardt is obviously your main target here for the nano boost. So you see it come in, but the Graviton Surge comes in from Mengmao on the side of China. Nice sound barrier there. It's going to be Jamli up top, dropping down with the Death Blossom as he gets nano boosted. He's able to get two, just trying to stay alive on the point, trying to get back, keep his supports alive, but it's going to be Remnant just diving towards the back line, able to take out one. And you do see, though, it looks like China winning most of these engagements, but it's going to be Colbat up top with that Soldier ultimate, able to take out two, trying to finish off the last, but Jamli comes from behind, takes him out, but Singapore gets a hold. China doesn't get a tick on the point, so that's a very nice hold from Singapore.
It was a nice hold, and even though towards the end Colbat did get a taste of the people's elbow, Singapore able to hold on here, and they didn't even give up a tick at the very end. So this is pretty good here for Singapore. They're able to withstand the wave from China. China, though, they still have 5.5 minutes, plenty of time on their side. They can restore their ult bank. But for Singapore, who's really fighting for their tournament life here, this was a good start.
Yeah, I feel like if you're China, you just can't get flustered here. You just gotta be patient. And as soon as you get that first blood there in this fight on a Revenant, this is where you need to go. But they are caught in this hallway, and Colbat picks up YJP, who switched things up. He's gone over to McCree, and see Doubted's going to fall down. These are fights that Singapore is winning now yet again on the defensive end. But going into this next fight, they'll only have the Graviton Surge for the side of Singapore. Actually, they'll probably get the Winston's Primal range as well, but still, you're going to have China with that Earth Shatter, and they're going to have the Nano Boost. They could throw things in their favor and end up taking the map.
They absolutely could, and you take a look at China right now as they're setting up. They will... Their ult bank isn't quite where it should be. I kind of feel like they should be going for a little bit more of a junk rush here, maybe bait out that Graviton. They have so much time, X, that they can actually build up a full 6 ult and go for a really high-quality push. But here we go. Next fight underway. Reborn's going to get the Graviton, pulls in 4 people, attaches them to the ceiling. Here comes Singapore.
Reborn's just shooting up in the sky there as he sends the players of China for a ride, and he's doing a fantastic job on Zarya, fully charged up, laying down tons of damage, applying the barriers to his supports, able to keep them alive. But here comes China. YJP jumps onto the point. He's able to get one. Jamli now on Reaper, just cornering Colbat as Soldier, but here comes Doubted, Nano Boost. Now comes a Graviton Surge there, but that charge there from Doubted sends Mengmao flying. Another hole there from Singapore, and now we're starting to get into dangerous territory here for China.
It's dangerous for China, and China did expend some resources there. They did use a Graviton, but they still have more ults coming up than not. So again, for China, I think they just calm down a little bit, wait to get more ults up and go from there. They still have a decent amount of time on their side, but X, if they lose this next fight and throw ults into it, I think then it is more of a danger zone moment for them.
Well, here's a question. If they do not get anything out of this fight, China, do you think they should change their comp up a little bit? Is there anything they can go to really try and force some things in their favor?
You could go for the surprise Widow or so they get early picks, but the next fight is underway. YJP looking to take out the backline, doesn't quite get, but it's going to be Mengmao again the double kill. Jamli falling to the bottom. It's a bit of a scrappy fight here, but China definitely with a bit more momentum. They haven't lost too many people here just yet, and the Deadeye in over the top. YJP going to get taken out by Colbat, though.
Yeah, but Colbat takes him out as well, and you see Pangu on the point. He gets nano boosted as Reinhardt going for a charge there, just trying to knock players back, lands a flame strike, but he's going to be knocked down as you see Doubted comes into the point. He's going to be nano boosted as well. It's going to be Singapore just trying to stay alive, and they do a fantastic job of that. Reborn's coming in, and Doubted cleaning up the players of China on the point.
So you're wondering if China was going to change anything up? Well, I think they found their change up here, X. The one and only Bastion is not coming onto the field. It was a trap all along. It's actually going to be Roadhog, so that will be their switch up instead.
I was like, if you're trying to get a pick or trying to engage, I don't know if Bastion is the best opportunity to do so. Just trying to engage, get more mobility towards the point. So they do have YJP, who's going to go over and now use Roadhog, and potentially he can get in, get on up this top bridge, pull one of these players down from above, and get that early first blood that China can use to just kind of dart onto the point.
He is going to be looking for that early hook, but I gotta say with China just having a little bit of indecision there, I don't know if they are really confident in this, but they do get that hook in. don't immediately capitalize, but they have Singapore a little bit out of position. Mengman with the kill, it's now 65, and this is one of the best opportunities China has had all map long.
And I feel like it's quite odd. I feel like at the beginning of these fights, you see China, get a first kill, and then they don't really take that great advantage of it. Oh, a nice hook there, though, from YJP. This is where they need the strike, and he's actually going to be put to sleep there, but it's going to be 2 kills in favor of China. You see a Death Blossom coming out there from Jianli. He doesn't get anything for it, and now you're going to see Pangu. He's going to be nano boosted, gets onto the point. Doubted charges into him, but it's going to be a fantastic job from China to protect him. This is where they win the game. They have 5 players on the point. Just need to take Remnant here as he gets down onto it. He's going to be nano boosted. As Winston trying to jump up, it's going to be YJP knocking him off with the whole hog, and that does it. It's going to be China taking Hanamura in the series.
So as it turns out, the Roadhog switch up, very effective. I don't think Singapore was prepared for it. And I'm not even sure China initially wanted to go to it because they did have indecision on the Bastion, but in the end, it's a Roadhog Gambit, getting the pickoffs they needed, letting them get that snowball, and letting them get the sort of rush in that you need to take point B on Hanamura.
Yeah, now YJP finishes that one 41-6. Jianli on Reaper for most of the times goes 50-6. Just some outstanding performances from those 2 guys. I think definitely was something to highlight. Singapore played much better than we saw them play yesterday. But enough from me and ZP. Let's go to the desk to get their thoughts on China's 2-0 win.
Thanks so much, Mr. X. We've got a lot to talk about here because Singapore brought a lot to the table. So, Monty, you want to start us off?
Well, we'll take a look at Group D first. China up 2-0 now, and we will be heading into the France-Thailand, which is probably going to decide who takes second place next. We'll have to wait and see on that one, but I don't know. I'm just not sold on Singapore's compositions here. I really don't want to see the Pharah Mercy combo anymore because Palm-Yu's positioning on the Mercy is bad. Yeah. Quite bad, in fact, and he finds ways to get himself killed, splits bomb with his team, never able to use the res effectively. It's just too much of a commitment in the Pharah, I think, and it just isn't working for them.
Yeah, the Pharah overall, though, from China, pretty strong, especially on King's Row, that first map.
Yeah, I mean, that was good. YJP.
Yeah, YJP did a lot of work on that map. I'm sure we're going to see it in like the highlight reel. But I did like Colbat on the Junkrat attacking. It's not necessarily a hero made for attacking, but the way he did it, like he caught Pongay out by throwing his shift behind him to force him in his enemy or to his own team. But they were able to save him with like Maywall coming up. But
yeah,
a little bit odd. Junkrat, you don't really see attacking. He's more of like sit back and just spam as much as you possibly can. But it was cool to see that they actually did switch some things.
I mean, at least Colbat, did decide to try to play different heroes today instead of just the Pharah. They recognized that it wasn't working out, but unfortunately what they tried today didn't really work out too well either. I gotta say though, China didn't look as impressive as I think we were maybe expecting. It was a 2-0, but it wasn't really a terribly one-sided 2-0.
Yeah, they struggled a lot on Hanamura here.
Yeah.
King's Row, though, they won quite decisively, and those YJP plays are a big part of that.
Yeah, I think he was, if I had to pick an MVP for this particular series, I'd probably go with YJP here. He had played really well on a couple different heroes. Colbat, as you can see, having some success on that Reaper, and again, a good idea to switch away from that Pharah.
It's just really hard to be also like the main damage dealer for your team and be the in-game leader for them.
Yeah.
To have to kind of be able to think about the whole macro game while you're trying to focus someone down and get really crucial pick. And also, I think even the Mei wasn't necessarily like countered too well by Singapore. It seems like they weren't necessarily comfortable playing against it because the walls that kept coming in caught off so many individual targets time and time again.
This is a huge problem, though. YJP, this was one of the 2 big Pharah plays on this map, just getting into that back line for free, and there was really nothing to deal with the Pharah on the side of Singapore. No tools, no crowd control, nothing in the back line, so it was easy for YJP basically just to walk up and bounce some rockets into the support line.
Yeah, I think another player we need to kind of think about on the China side is Jianli. I know we've got some stats for him to check out a little bit later, but yeah, we'll see some stats from Game 2 first. But, Jianli played a pretty nice McCree here and there.
Yeah, despite getting blocked by his Mei on that high noon there.
Yeah, that was awkward. That was a bit awkward.
Not sure what was going on there.
Yeah, but stuff like this, I mean, if you can pick anybody besides YJP that was making a big difference, it would be Jianli. But, in the end, this second Hanamura point was messy for China, but they made it work. I gotta say though, I'm not, even though China's 2-0 in the group right now, I think it's still gonna be, maybe, I'm thinking maybe this group is gonna end up in a 2-1 tie.
Yeah, we've had a couple mysteries here with Singapore and their choices, but China and Finland emerging as clear winners in the group.
And considering, like, from the China region, like, these teams know each other hands down. You have IG Ice for Jamla, you have IG Fire, and then you have Snake, who are just kind of like all rivals, but also play against each other so often. You would think the synergy would be there a little bit more. Like, I agree, like, they're still a good team, but it's not the convincing team I wanted to see come into this, the team that we had favored to win the whole group.
Yeah, and I was mistaken there. I'm France and Thailand are, of course, rounding out this group, and that's the match that we are going to see next. And, I mean, any thoughts about how China is going to stack up to those two opponents?
I think they might struggle a little bit against France. I think that's going to end up being a fairly close one. I think that's going to really kind of decide the group to see how those two teams stack up.
I think that France, it'll be interesting to see them against Thailand in a few minutes because that's going to tell us a lot. But I think France's strength, at least in their first match against Singapore, was that they had a good amount of coordination, right? They looked like they were calling targets properly. They looked like they were timing enemy ults properly, and that they were playing well around that. And they may have weaker individual skill than China, but it looked to me like they had a better grasp on their team's tactics, when to make the proper hero swaps. So that kind of macro element looked like that might give France enough to push them over the top against China.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, the coordination that China showed, they've got that individual skill. But again, you know, they kind of have a habit of going in one by one once in a while, and a team like France is going to be able to take advantage of that.
What's funny is France actually said they're more worried about Thailand than China. Because they have Nox, who just played against all these Chinese teams. So that's kind of an interesting sign to see what's actually going to come and happen.
All right, well, we have one more match today where we find out exactly where Group D is going to stand at the end of our day. We'll get into that right when we come back from these commercials.